Well, we had an amazing story here in the New York Times. Matt Gaetz, put this up there on the screen, apparently sought a blanket pardon from President Trump in the waning days of his administration. Now, this was ultimately rejected by the White House counsel's office, but raises a lot of eyebrows here. So according to this story from the New York Times, Gaetz went into the pardons office and said not only did he want a pardon for himself, but a blanket one against him and any of his congressional allies. Now, look, we don't even know if Matt Gaetz even knew about his federal sex trafficking investigation at that time. There's no indication, according to this reporting from people inside of the White House counsel's office, that they even knew about the investigation. It seems like Bill Barr obviously was briefed on that investigation, and according to some reporting, he had to go out of his way to make sure he was never photographed with Matt Gaetz. After that, he was like, get that guy the hell away from me. Like Christmas parties, etc., because I'm sure, Gaetz in particular would be the type of guy to try and do that. So that's kind of hilarious. But I mean, definitely adds something to the case that Gaetz knew that he might have been in trouble and has been for a long time and tried to get Trump to bail him out on this one.
I mean, innocent people don't typically go and beg for preemptive pardons for any crime.
For anything.
Blanket preemptive pardon for any crimes they may or may not have committed. It's not a particularly good look. And I think it adds some color to the reporting that we've seen too, that we covered yesterday about why Trump world is they're just staying quiet. They're just staying out of it entirely. Yeah. It's not because, I don't know, I'm sure he rubbed some of them the wrong way too, but that's not really the issue. The issue is that he's just given them nothing to work with and no reason to believe that he's actually innocent.
They think it's true. Right. That's like mostly what it is.
That's basically what it is, and that's what they're telling reporters is like, man, sounds about right. Now, he denies the allegations, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see what all shakes out, ultimately whether his behavior was actually criminal or just super sketchy, creepy, and immoral. But clearly, even in Trump world, they think that he was a little bit outside of how far they wanted to go. I'm sure the fact that he came and asked for these pardons preemptively didn't give them a lot of additional confidence either. Yeah,
that's right. And, it's interesting, too, because some more is coming out about his associate, Mr. Greenberg, the one who was indicted down in Florida. And there was actually a story that came about him. He was a Florida tax collector, seems to have been involved allegedly in many of these sexual escapades, which Matt Gaetz was involved in. Now, what they said is that this guy, Greenberg, in particular, was known in Florida as almost like a Roger Stone-like figure who was, procuring women, who is now under indictment for, producing false identification, prostitution, allegedly in the sex trafficking charges as well, and that he was very, very close friends with Matt Gaetz and was actually involved. The two of them were apparently thick as thieves here in terms of some of the things that they would go out and do, and that seems to be where all of this is beginning to stem from. The indictment of Greenberg is what then led to the investigation into Gaetz. At the same time, though, came out yesterday that the alleged extorter of Gaetz basically confirmed the entire plot of contacting him, saying, hey, if you gave me this loan, I can make you a hero, and all of that. So there's just layers of insanity that are on top of all of this.
It's so bizarre. You literally could not make it up and throw Robert Levinson into the mix, and then his dad's wearing a wire. But it looks increasingly like there was some there from Gaetz, whether, again, it's criminal or not, we don't know, and we'll wait for the facts to come out. But also, clearly, these guys were trying to shake him down, whether they genuinely just wanted the money to go rescue Robert Levinson or had other intent for what to do with that money.
Right.
The fact that he confirmed the accuracy or the veracity of the text message that was sent to Gaetz's dad, of the letter that was sent, it was definitely a shakedown. It was like, we know you're under investigation. We heard that it's for underage sexual orgy. We heard that there's a minor who testified in front of a grand jury that she had sex with you for money. And by the way, we need some money and we'll help you out and get you out of your trouble. I mean, that is a shakedown. Like, there's no,
of course.
Right. They don't quite directly say it to give themselves some plausible deniability, but it's pretty obvious what's going on. One other detail, this from Politico, about the Greenberg-Gaetz relationship, just so you know how close they were. The two shared more than one girlfriend, according to interviews with 8 friends and associates who knew the men. Gaetz described Greenberg as a wingman to some acquaintances and even promoted him as a potential congressional candidate. So there you go. Oh, and now some suspect he might be cooperating with prosecutors to build the case against Gaetz. Great friend you got there. All right. More Rising for you after this.